The real reason why music is getting worse is the title of a video that Rachel Lynch shared on the DJ Help Desk the other day. It's by a guy named Rick Beato, who is a producer. He's a musician. He knows a lot of professional musicians. He's forgotten more about music and music production than I'll ever know. The guy is brilliant. When he talks about music theory, it goes right over my head. But I love hearing him talk to artists and just talk about music in general and why songs are great and things like that. Great content on his channel. Check him out. But he cites a couple reasons why he feels like music is getting worse. And he breaks it down in 2 acts in his video. And it's in the description here. It says, Act 1, music is too easy to make. He's talking about going on Pro Tools. He's talking about auto-tune. He's talking about those kinds of things. So anybody can make music. It's pretty easy. You can do it on your computer. You don't need a band anymore. You don't need to hire, anybody for studio time or producers or anything like that. You can do it all at your desk. How good you are, that's a little different. And that's kind of where he's at. Anybody can put out tracks. It doesn't take a lot of effort, so they just do. And maybe they don't have the chops that some of the guys who had to pay their dues had, and it's not that good because of that. Maybe, sure, okay. Just the quantity of music out there is, I think, what he's talking about too. There's so much of it that it's hard to sort through it all and find the great tracks. And I can kind of relate to that. I was recently going through my Top Hits USA folders. I did a video about it the other day. Going back 13, 14, 15 years, whatever it is. And I'm trying to cherry pick the tracks that I know from, I don't know, I guess a couple thousand tracks. And there's very few that I even recognize. Like a small handful, like under 100. And that's because there's all this other filler there. And yeah, out there on services like Spotify and such, there's a lot of that stuff. It's hard to sort through it all. So it's hard to find the great tracks if they do exist. The other thing he cited was music is too easy to consume. Going back to the Spotify thing, for $10 a month or however much Spotify costs, I don't know, you can have every song ever made. And that's all the Beethoven, the Beatles, AC/DC, if they're on Spotify, I don't know, but he cited them. I thought they weren't, but maybe they are now, I don't know. That's 2 Chainz, that's, Bruno Mars, that's Whitney Houston, that's everybody. Everything ever made. $10.99 a month, you can check it out, and you don't really have to work hard for it. He was talking about how he had to, go mow a lawn or do some job when he was a kid to go out and, buy a Pablo Cruz record or whatever he was talking about, So yeah, I'm with him on that. I mean, I can see that. But before we go any further and I tell you what my take is on this, I got to ask this question. Have you ever seen Rick Beato and Michael Imperioli from The Sopranos in the same room together? Thumbnail. Neither have I. Here's my take on it. Everything that he said, fine, cool. Sure, it's part of the problem or part of a reason why maybe music isn't as great as it used to be. And the only people that you will hear talk about how bad new music is usually old farts like me. I don't know that Gen Z and Gen Y are talking about how bad music is. They're enjoying the new music that's out there. But hey, we're jaded. We were around when there was some great music being produced and there were superstars that were larger than life. They weren't relatable artists that were like us. They were from outer space. We had Prince and Madonna and David Bowie and Michael Jackson and Ozzy Osbourne and all these people who were just like, they're not like us. These are not people who we can relate to. Artists seem to be very relatable now. Oh, they're like us, they dress like us. It wasn't like that before. You couldn't go buy Prince clothes at Kohl's. It just wasn't the thing that you did. Or Michael Jackson socks. They were from outer space. I regress. So, back then, I believe music was really the thing, and I don't think music's a thing anymore. Not like it used to be. Let's talk about young folks, Gen Z, perhaps. What are they talking about? TikTok. They're talking about maybe the latest game they're playing on their gaming system. They're on social media. They're doing things like Snapchat and Instagram. Somebody told me today that young people aren't even on Facebook anymore. I just have my Facebook account hacked. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, nobody's on Facebook anymore. Well, A lot of people are on Facebook, but young people aren't embracing Facebook. They're going on these other platforms. But they're not talking about music. Who else isn't talking about music? The general public. What does the general public talk about? The price of eggs, politics, hybrid cars. They're reality TV. They're not talking about music. I can remember a time when a song would hit and that was the talk. It was on the news. Oh my God, this new great song dropped. Michael Jackson was on the news like every day for like a year and a half. I remember it. They were talking about him. He was that big. And I know it's similar with Taylor Swift right now. And the thing with Taylor Swift is, I mean, if you like Taylor Swift, that's great. I don't usually follow people's persona and follow the hype as much as I follow the music itself. If their persona is interesting and their music's interesting, that's just a big bonus. Lady Gaga was like that, I thought. She was interesting, her music was interesting. But, Taylor Swift is rich because she tours and her tickets are crazy expensive, and there are Swifties out there, primarily young girls who love it. And hey, what's a Gen X or a boomer parent to do? They have to pay this big money to make their kid happy to take him to the Taylor Swift concert. That's just what it is. It's a status thing at this point. I guess that's kind of part of it too. There's not a lot of money in it for most people unless you're touring. So when you have music not really being a thing anymore, right? And artists not really too worried about what music they create or how great it is, because it's not like they're going to make any money at it anyway. Everybody's got a very whatever attitude. You're not getting greatness at that point. One group I didn't talk about were DJs. We talked about social media a little bit, but the DJ part of this is interesting because, what are DJs talking about? Are they talking about new tracks? DJs are talking about gear. They're talking about why Pioneer changed their name to Alpha Theta and what does that mean. And they're talking about column arrays versus point source speakers. And they're talking about lighting and DMX or no DMX. Or we're talking about PC or Mac. Or they're talking about weddings and how to do grand entrances and how to set up for a ceremony. And should you go all white on a ceremony or should you do something else? And is uplighting a good or bad idea? And how stupid are wedding coordinators? But not music. Man, I haven't heard a DJ talk about a new track for a long time. What I will say is that probably for the last at least 25 years, there have been a lot of songs that have come out that I really enjoy. In the 2000s, the teens, even today. But they all usually have one thing in common. They're either using a formula from the past, or they're sampling something that's half a century old. In general. There are exceptions, but generally that's what's happening. But anyway, I know it's noisy here. My videos are very punk. That's just what they are. And I'm sorry about that, but it's cold out. My family's cold. I gotta leave the heat on. And the heater's turning on and off. Camera mic's not great or anything else, but I'm just throwing some videos out there to try to be helpful, try to give you something to think about. And they're free. So if you could, I really appreciate you giving me a like on this. And stay tuned for my continuing saga of Facebook drama. I've got a Facebook page up there right now, the Brian Red Facebook page. It's really me. My daughter thinks she might be able to help me recover my old one. I think she's being pretty optimistic on that, but we'll wait and see how that goes. At any rate, I've had such a long week, and it continues to be long, and I'm going to be busy for the rest of the week, but I did want to just get something up before things get really chaotic around here, and this is what I've chosen to do before I go to bed tonight. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much for tuning in. Practice and enjoy.